How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Vegas 105, Emmett vs. Murphy on April 5th, 2025. Timestamps in the comments below. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 13. We start with Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. I'm going to go with Talita Alencar, possibly by submission. I really just don't like Vanessa Demopoulos, if I'm being totally honest with you. I'm not a fan of her as a fighter. Very telegraphed stand-up, screams where she's like, ah, ah, and she doesn't reset well either on the feet, which even though Talita Alencar isn't great on the feet, she will be able to counter Vanessa. But this can also be kind of like a stand-up affair for Talita Alencar and Vanessa Demopoulos, because Talita Alencar stand-up, she does slow down and she drops her hands as the fight progressively goes longer, so maybe that could become a problem for Talita Alencar, as I aforementioned. Vanessa has a 27% takedown defense. I can't, Talita's like a Brazilian, she's like a really good BJJ practitioner. That's her whole thing. Maybe her wrestling isn't all that good, but at least she's shooting takedowns, and Vanessa isn't, way bigger than her. You know what I mean? It's actually, a very same size matchup for Talita, so I think that'll also help. Yeah, I just don't think... Dude, she's 36 as well. I get Talita's 34, but Vanessa's 36, and she has more fights. She looked terrible against Jacqueline Amarim last time out. She's arguably should be, 1 in fucking 7 in the UFC. But she always gets close decisions. I think Talita Alencar can possibly find a finish here. Vanessa just isn't good. We move to Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcão. I'm going to go with Victor Henry. It is a little tricky. Pedro Falcão is one of those guys, gets a short notice, debut, fights Victor Hugo, has a alright performance, shot a lot of takedowns, didn't get many of them, kind of got stuffed and didn't really do a whole lot on the feet. Victor Henry, he's an unk, but not an active unk. He's been in the UFC for 3 years now? 3 years? Yeah. And, he's only fought, 6 times. But he's fighting solid people. Raoni Barcelos in his debut, he beat him. He was a huge underdog. Rafael Assunção, decent fight. Tony Gravely, split decision, not what I'd like to see. The Javid Basharat fight was strange. Ronnie Yaha, that's a lamb to the slaughter. And Charles Jourdain was a decently competitive fight, and I like that. Pedro Falcão shoots a lot of takedowns. Like I said, on the feet, stand-up wise, not what I'd like to see out of a 32-year-old bantamweight prospect. I think Victor Henry as a 37-year-old is actually going to be a little bit quicker than Pedro Falcão. And he has weapons that can deter Pedro, which is a kicking game. If you can kick very well, Pedro Falcão will kind of just allow you to kick him. Victor Henry has good leg kicks. He tears up the lead leg with his rear side leg kick, goes up high after he sets up the low kick a couple of times. Decent cardio as well. And he has defensive wrestling. 84% takedown defense, I believe. Pedro Falcão went 1 of 13 on takedown attempts against Victor Hugo, which we saw wasn't doing very well on, what was it? Farid Basharat, right? And, yeah, it's, I think that Victor Henry can definitely get this one done. I think he can definitely get it done. Pedro Falcão, not a crazy good prospect in my eyes. Very sloppy at best. Victor Henry, speed advantage, kicking advantage. The striking also will favor him, and he has defensive wrestling and jiu-jitsu as well that he can play with Pedro Falcão. So I'll go with Victor Henry. Pedro just hasn't impressed me enough. We move to Loma Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. I'm going to go with Loma Lookboonmee, most likely by first or second round finish. Istela Nunes 0-4 in the UFC. That's disgusting. And Loma Lookboonmee is actually good. I have to take that into account. Also, Istela Nunes was supposed to fight Molly McCann in London, and she pulled out. Oh, she had visa issues, apparently. Okay. So it wasn't like she suffered an injury. So But last time out, she did suffer an injury. She dislocated her elbow against Victoria Dudikova. Nasty injury. If you want to see nasty UFC injuries, look at that. But, you know, she's getting finished by Yasmin Jauregui. She's getting knocked out. She's getting choked out by Ariane Carnelossi. Loma Lookboonmee, for example, has wins over fucking Bruna Brazil, Elise Reed, Denise Gomes, Sam Hughes, Jinyu Frey. That was in 2020. Dude, these are all great wins. She has good cardio, great stand-up, you know, and her wrestling is actually pretty good. Loma Lookboonmee is actually, like, a good WMMA fighter. She just isn't, like, crazy active. Especially in recent years. She was actually pretty active when she first got here, and then it kind of dwindled a little bit. But Istela Nunes hasn't won a fight since 2018, so I can't trust you. And the only people Loma Lookboonmee has lost to is Angela Hill and Lupita Godinez. Like, those are both old, 2020 and 2021. You know, Istela Nunes is losing to far worse competition, in my honest opinion. And she has, like, not great takedown defense. And her stand-up, she has good power. She feints decently well. She has a good right hand down the middle. But Loma Lookboonmee is going to chew up her lead leg. I don't care if Istela Nunes is bigger than her. She's going to chew up her lead leg, land her hooks on the inside when Istela's coming in. She's a great counter striker. Loma Lookboonmee, and she might be able to take her down as well. Loma Lookboonmee is just a far superior athlete and fighter than Istela Nunes. She takes this one very easily. We move to Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. I'll go with Daniel on this one. I'll go with Daniel Frunza. It is a little tricky. It is a tricky matchup. Rhys McKee has always kind of been a weird guy in the UFC. Never won a UFC fight. You know, but the guys he's fighting in the UFC are actually pretty good. Kamzat, of course, in his debut. Alex Morono, it's alright. But that was Alex Morono when he was actually, like, pretty good. Ange Loosa and Chidi Nzechukwu, right? These are all really solid fighters. But Daniel Frunza actually did look pretty good, and he beat a 17-1 guy on the Contender Series. Now, albeit, I will say, probably the shittiest 17-1 fighter I've ever seen in my life in Vadim Kutsi, but let bygones be bygones. All right, he beat a 17-1 fighter, and Rhys McKee, you know, he's a long, rangy kind of fella. He's got decent stand-up, very useful jab on his part, but he just eats too many shots. He just does. He absorbs damn near 8 strikes per minute. And Daniel Frunza has 8 KOs. And Daniel Frunza, it's not like he's like a bad striker or anything. He actually has some good technique. And he has good cardio, which will help him against Rhys McKee, because Rhys McKee also has good cardio. I think this could turn into a fight where Rhys McKee really tries to get his clinch game going, like he did against Chidi Nzechukwu, seeing as Daniel Frunza is a little bit smaller than him. And we've seen other guys like Jalen Fuller kind of have a bit of success in that department against Daniel Frunza. But I think Daniel Frunza is probably working on that at the moment and trying to improve his clinch exits, his clinch damage. Because Rhys McKee doesn't really do much in the clinch. When he, like in the Chidi Nzechukwu fight, the reason why he lost it, even though he had control, was he did absolutely fucking nothing with it. So I think Daniel Frunza in this fight has the ability to do more damage and find a finish over Rhys McKee, because Daniel Frunza has only been subbed, I believe. And Rhys McKee does have like 3 submission wins, but I don't think that's enough of a guarantee to pick him. And Rhys McKee just does eat shots. He backs up, he gets himself backed up very easily. If you have a very dominant presence in front of him, Daniel Frunza does have that. He's able to back up anybody. I think Rhys McKee is going to get backed up, hit with some big shots, and he wears damage too. That is something about Rhys McKee. He wears damage very easily because he is very pale. So I'll go Daniel Frunza, by first or second round TKO. I think at this point Rhys McKee's taking a lot of damage. I think he'll get TKO'd easier this time. We move to Belbiță versus Dione Barbosa. I'm going to go with Dione, or Dione. Who cares? I'll just call her Barbosa. She's way better than Dione Belbiță. Dione Belbiță has 5 losses by submission. I repeat, 5 losses by submission. And she hasn't fought in a while. Her last fight was actually Molly McCann, I'm pretty sure, where her arm got broken. Or it didn't get broken. February of 2024. Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of her fights. And before that, it was October of 2023. That's not that far back, actually. But she hasn't fought in over a year. Had her arm broken a little bit. Not broken, but, like, injured. Dione Barbosa is like a black belt. That is her whole thing, is her jiu-jitsu, and she's powerful on the feet. Diana Belbiță hasn't beat anyone of note ever in her career. Hannah Goldie and Maria Oliveira, yuck. Dione Barbosa beat Ernesta Carrasqueta, close fight, but she won, and then she went to a decent competitive decision with Miranda Maverick. She just got slightly outstruck. Miranda Maverick is 10 times the athlete of Diana Belbiță. Dione Barbosa should sub this chick in the first round. If she doesn't, she's a fraud. We move to Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. I'm going to go with Wiley Cat. I think Daniel Santos he's got decent variety with his attacks, and that was something Ramon Tavares didn't have against Davey Grant. Ramon Tavares will throw a leg kick here and there, but he's very boxing heavy. Daniel Santos, of course, shoot the box. Good Muay Thai. Great kickboxing skills. Davey Grant's whole arsenal relies around, a bit of a sneaky jab here and there, a loopy overhand right hook, very wide, and then a bunch of low kicks and body kicks and the occasional head kick here and there. I think Daniel Santos can out-damage Davey Grant and also mix it up a bit better, not takedown-wise, but be able to match the kicks as well. That's something Ramon Tavares couldn't do. Daniel Santos can go kick for kick with Davey Grant. And for some reason, Davey Grant just doesn't really win decisions. I don't know what it is. It seems like whenever he goes to a decision, they just don't really like him. He doesn't go to them often, but they're usually split decisions every single time, besides when he beat Chito Vera, which is a great win in 2016. Yeah, he doesn't go to decision often, and Daniel Santos isn't really a decision guy either when he goes up against another striker. The Johnny Munoz fight wasn't really what I'd like to see from Daniel Santos. He hasn't fought in a while as well, so ring rust could play a factor in this fight. But Davey Grant is 39, so I think ring rust mixed with Davey Grant also not being the most active guy, but has the most recent fight, definitely could help Daniel Santos as Davey is older, and it's not like he doesn't take damage. Like, Davey Grant has taken damage. But Daniel Santos can also, match the volume that comes from Davey Grant. Davey Grant, known for just being able to not maraud forward, but throw a bunch of low kicks, throw a lot of kicks, throw a lot of volume. Daniel Santos can match that and more. You know what I mean? So I think Daniel Santos, just younger, and he's got heart on him too, and he walks forward. He will walk down Davey Grant, or try to, in the least. Maybe time a takedown here and there. Davey Grant might look to get it to the ground as well. Daniel Santos can scramble very well. I like the younger, hungrier, I think more damaging striker in Daniel Santos over a Davey Grant. Let me just check Daniel Santos, how many finishes he has. 5 KOs. I mean, Davey Grant does have 4 as well over his career, but I think Daniel Santos can take damage decently well, walk forward, land shots, pin people against the cage. He cuts the cage off very well, great Muay Thai, and works well in the clinch as well. Head kicks in the clinch, elbows in the clinch, knees in the clinch. This guy's a monster when he can finally get going. I don't think Davey Grant's going to put him out with a head kick. All right, I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, edit audio incoming. We move to the featured prelim, Ode Osbourne versus Louis Gurule. I'll go with Louis Gurule on this one. He trains with Brandon Royval, trains at Elevation, and I think that he has a good style to go against Ode Osbourne. Now, I will be honest with you, Ode Osbourne is going to have, holy shit, I don't know what just happened. He's going to have a crazy speed advantage in this one, like he usually does. Ode Osbourne is, unironically, probably one of the fastest flyweights on the roster, super quick, but he can't take a heavy punch to save his life, and also his grappling kind of sucks. And Louis Gurule, on the Contender Series, fought a Nick Piccinini, and honestly, Ode might, dude, he's got some weird physical attributes over this dude. And Louis is an undefeated fighter. He might lose. But Ode just can't seem to fucking win a fight. When was the last fight O'Day Osbourne won? Charles Johnson. I forgot he even won that fight. That's fucking nuts. He does have a crazy speed advantage over Lewis, but Lewis is tough. And I think he can bring a pace to O'Day Osbourne and break him as the fight goes on. And he has heavy hands, too, and he might catch O'Day. Maybe mix in grappling as well, will Lewis. I think if he'll watch film, he'll see O'Day Osbourne has 4 losses by submission. I know Lewis only has 1 win by submission. If he's able to defensively wrestle with Nick Piccinini, who is a 3-time All-American D1 wrestler, I think that he should be able to grapple offensively with O'Day Osbourne, who will entertain submission attempts as well. And Louis Gurule is a tough dude. So I'll go Louis Gurule probably by... If he watches film and is able to build a game plan around getting O'Day Osbourne to the ground or pressing the fight to him, he should be able to win by finish in the first or second round. So I'll go Louis Gurule. We move to the start of the main card. Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin. I want to pick Torrez really bad, but I'm going to go with Robert Valentin. I'm actually going to go with the underdog. I don't know why I get a bad feeling about this matchup. Listen, Torrez Finney can definitely take down and pin Robert Valentin possibly and get a TKO finish on the ground. Dude, Robert Valentin hits really hard, and he's going to be a lot bigger than Torrez Finney. I'm pretty sure Torrez Finney lies up about his height, and his arms aren't actually that long. It's a lot of shoulder width. And Robert Valentin can grapple. Like, he can actually grapple, and people forget... In that Ryan Loder fight, he tore his arm to, like, shreds, like, a minute in when Ryan Loder got that, modified Kimura locked in. He tore his arm there and almost, like, did enough offensive damage to win the first round and was able to grapple with Ryan Loder, who I rate pretty heavily. I think Robert Valentin can scramble decently well. His striking is very powerful. I know Torrez Finney hits really hard. Robert Valentin's got this death touch to him where if he just touches you once, you die. And I don't think Torrez Finney, he still has... If Robert Valentin watches tape and realizes Torrez Finney tries to catch a low kick almost every time you throw one at him, he should go to the head immediately. Throw a head kick right off the bat. Torrez Finney might just lean into that bitch. Because if you watch the Cam Roston fight, if you watch what is the Al Sala or whatever is his fucking name that he beat last time out? Yeah, Abdullah Urami, and then the Yuri Penfarov fights. Like, those guys are like, he's just shooting big double legs on them and using his weight to his advantage. Robert Valentin can actually scramble pretty well. He's gonna have a 6-inch height advantage and not just a 1.5-inch reach, all right? His arms are significantly longer than Torrez Finney's are. He's got power on the feet. He can scramble decently well. He's not going to have a torn arm going into this fight, right? He trains with solid people. He's a dog. He can take damage as well. I like Robert Valentin. I like Robert Valentin finding a finish in this fight. I really do. I think he's a solid underdog. And Torrez Finney... Like, let's not forget the Cam Roston fight. Like, Abdullah Errami's flabby as fuck. Okay? The Cam Roston fight wasn't my favorite performance. Like, he had to kind of, like half-guard camp him in that fight. I think Robert Valentin can get it done in the distance. We move to Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Probably going to go with Brad Tavares on this one. Brad, I feel like, is just a bit of a better striker than Gerald. Well, not, I don't feel, I know. I know Brad is a better striker than Gerald Meerschaert, and he's got the one thing that really stuffs Gerald, which is his takedown defense. 81% takedown defense for Brad Tavares. He's probably one of the better anti-grapplers that is unranked at middleweight. It's kind of one of his best attributes. And he still has power this late in his career. I know he hasn't done well recently, 1-4 in his last 5, but Dricus du Plessis, Gregory Rodriguez, and Jung Young Park are no losses to scoff at. We're going to skip the Bruno Silva one because that was a complete fluke, but if you want to mention it, you can. And to be fair to Gerald, he's only losing to, Joe Pyfer, Andre Petrosky, Renier de Ritter. But I'm looking at a Christoph Ajotko loss, I forgot that when did he retire? It was after Brendan Allen, right? Oh, he's still fighting. He got cut after Brendan Allen. Okay. Did he get cut or did he just leave? I don't know. But I don't think this is a win that Gerald Meerschaert can, like, just get. You know what I mean? Gerald's striking looked decent against Reinier de Ridder. That's because Reinier's so open on the feet. Is Gerald Meerschaert going to be able to walk down Brad Tavares for the entire fight? I don't think so. I think he's going to walk onto something that he can't take and get hurt himself. Gerald's been knocked out 4 times. I know Brad's been knocked out 5. But those are against some of the fucking heaviest hitters in the fucking world. So, and Joe Pfeiffer's hits pretty hard. So does Kamzat. But then, like, Ian Heinisch, bro. Ian fucking Heinisch. Really. Thiago Santos at middleweight isn't really that bad of a KO loss. But I think the speed advantage is going to be with Brad Tavares. I think Gerald Meerschaert won't be able to get to where his area is at his best, which is his ground game. I think his ground game is probably his best. I think we all know that the ground game of Gerald Meerschaert is his best area. I don't believe that he'll be able to get there. I think he's going to try and walk down Brad Tavares, walk onto a straight right hand, possibly just crumble in front of him. If Brad is smart, he won't jump on Gerald unless he's, like, really, really hurt. He'll lit him up, do some more damage. And, yeah, I think Brad Tavares probably finds a finish in this one. Gerald Meerschaert slowing down. He's older. They're both old, but I think Brad Tavares still has some speed to him. We move to Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. I'm going to go with Kennedy Nzechukwu on this one. I think he's just a better fighter than Martin Buday. Martin, the Andrei Arlovski performance, Lucas Dresky performances were fucking dreadful. All Martin Buday will try and do to Kennedy is walk him down, corner him against the fence, and try and drown him with his fat blubber and try and tire him out. Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be a way quicker striker, way slicker striker, be able to move his feet very well, move his head. Martin Buday is going to have decently shorter arms in this as well. Kennedy Nzechukwu might be able to chin Martin Buday. And I'm looking at his striking. Martin's striking just isn't good. His clinch work is all right. But those are against, old fucking guys. How's he going to do against Kennedy, who's actually younger than him, quicker than him, and maybe more powerful as well? Martin Buday hasn't really had a great performance in a while. I think his only really good performance in the UFC was maybe Josh Parisian. And that's Josh Parisian, all right? He's going to be outgunned here. He's going to be outstruck here. And Kennedy Nzechukwu actually has some decent grappling as well. Like, Martin Buday is fucked in this fight. I don't really see a way for him to lose, in Kennedy at least. Maybe the smaller cage can play to help Martin, I guess, because it is in the apex, which will make it easier for him to walk down Kennedy. But I think Kennedy is going to be able to slip the shots and maybe catch Martin when he's walking in, because he kind of has, like, his hands a little lower. He can tag him in the forehead a little bit. Like, Kennedy is very good at heavyweight, much better than all these blobs. So I truly believe Martin Buday should lose. He should lose. Kennedy should win. Maybe TKO in the second round after a bunch of damage in the first. Martin Buday is going to close decisions with fucking Lucas Dresky, which was a robbery, and Andrei Arlovski, which was very close. So I think Kennedy should easily win this, to be fair. We move to the featured fight, Cortavious Romious versus Chung Ho Lee. I'm going to go with Chung Ho Lee on this one. I think he can get this done fairly easily. Chung Ho Lee in his debut over Zhao Long was a very close fight, and some people thought it should have gone to Zhao Long, which on damage it could have. Cortavious Romious didn't really impress me on the Contender Series, nor the Gaston Bolaños fight. He didn't really throw anything. He kind of just froze up in moments. Very athletic for a 5'4" fella. Very explosive and powerful. But I think Chung Ho Lee is actually decently good. And he can grapple as well, which Cortavious Romious will try to do against Chung Ho Lee. And Chung Ho Lee has good cardio. He's got great cardio, and that's something Cortavious Romious lacked in the Contender Series fight and against Gaston Bolaños. He slowed down heavily in that fight, which led to Gaston being able to pick up the pace on the feet and in the grappling. He was getting out-grappled in moments by fucking Gaston Bolaños, which I do not like at all. And Chung Ho Lee, Zhao Long, that fight, the clinch was used extensively. Knees to the body, punches to the body, punches to the face. And Chung Ho Lee can take a hit. He's able to grapple offensively as well. The striking is decent. He's got decent hooks, decent boxing, pocket boxing at that, decent jab at range. You know, he hasn't fought in a bit, which could play a detriment to him. He hasn't fought in like 10 months, I believe. But Cortavious, I'm not going to forget him getting chinned by Ramon Tavares in like 30 seconds. Like, that is something I can't get out of my head. And I'm looking at stats from that fucking the Gaston Bolaños fight. He landed like only 50 punches in 15 minutes. Those are strikes, not even punches. Like, that includes kicks and shit, which I'm not a great fan of. Cortavious, maybe he chins Cheng Ho Lee. I don't really see that happening. I think Cheng Ho Lee can actually just win based on points. I think he can outdo Cortavious in every round. Maybe Cortavious wins a round by hurting Cheng Ho Lee a shit ton. But I think Cheng Ho Lee overall can do better and better, like get in better positions on the ground and on the feet in moments. And just overall outdo and outwork Cortavious like Gaston Bolaños did. His volume is crazy, so I think Cheng Ho Lee can get this one done. We move to the co-main event. Pat Sabatini versus Joanderson Brito. This could end up into a trap fight. I'm going to go with Joanderson Brito, though. Pat Sabatini can sub Joanderson Brito. He can get to dominant positions on the ground, definitely. Jonathan Pierce, for example, was able to do it. But I think Joanderson's just going to chin him in the first round. Pat Sabatini's been KO'd 3 times. And I can't get that out of my head going into a fight like this. You know what I mean? Damon Jackson is chinning you in the first round very easily. Diego Lopez, albeit it's Diego Lopez, dude, he's chinning you easily. Like, all it took was one punch and you were hurt. I get Diego Lopez hits very hard. Damon Jackson, though? That's not a good knockout loss. Joanderson Brito hits hard as fuck. He's a marauder. He's going to try and walk down Pat Sabatini. And he's younger, and he's fought, in my opinion, better comp. All right? He just has fought better comp. I'm just reading off some of his wins in the UFC. You know, he loses to William Gomez, beats Jack Shore, beats Jonathan Pierce. Weston Wilson, all right. Lucas Alexander, all right. Andre Fili, though, Andre Fili's pretty good, and he put him out in 41 seconds. Not everybody does that to Andre Fili, right? And Joanderson Brito technically beat Diego Lopez, and he knocked out Chepe Mariscal. Right? This dude has crazy fucking wins. And he's got 7 wins by KO, 8 by sub. It's not like he's just knocking everybody out. He can defensively grapple as well and put up submissions. Pat Sabatini's whole thing is his jiu-jitsu. 13 wins by submission. If not, he grinds out a decision win. He's lost 3 times by KO in the first. One was an arm injury. I'll discard it. But both losses in the UFC have been by KO. I can't shake that going into a matchup where he's going up against a Terminator in the featherweight division who hits hard as fuck, who's gonna kick his leg off, uppercut him, and walk him down, land hooks. And Pat Sabatini might try to rifle down his right hand down the middle. He's kind of built like an ape a little bit. But Joanderson's gonna chin him. I think he's gonna chin him hard, chin him good, and put him out for forever. I think Joanderson and Pat Sabatini's getting older. He's 34. I don't like older fighters going up against guys like this, especially dudes who get chinned pretty easily. Joanderson chinned Chepe Mariscal. That's a fucking great win on the regional scene. I like that. You like that? I like that. Joanderson Brito by knockout in the first round. Lock it in. We move to the main event. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm picking Josh Emmett. You can tell by the thumbnail, of course, I always do that. I just can't shake the idea of Josh Emmett brutally knocking out Lerone Murphy after seeing him get hurt in fights before. Edson Barbosa, of course, I always bring up the up kick at chinned him. Dan Ige chinning him with a left hook is not a great look in my opinion. And one thing I will say about Lerone Murphy, early in fights, especially if you're walking him down, he'll try to counter you with a right elbow when you're throwing right hands. He will drop his left hand a little bit and try and counter with a right hand. I think he's going to get fucking Bryce Mitchelled. Especially in a smaller cage where Lerone Murphy tends to be on the back foot very early in fights. You know what I mean? Josh Emmett this isn't his first 5th round. This is not his first 5-round fight ever. He went 5 rounds with Calvin Kattar. It was very competitive. He ended up getting the decision. I thought that it could have gone to Calvin Kattar. 5 rounds with Ilia Topuria. I know he got his ass whooped. Is Lerone Murphy Ilia Topuria? Fuck no, he's not. Okay, no, he's not. I think Lerone Murphy might have he might have bitten off him a bit more than he could chew. I think Josh Emmett is going to walk him down, maybe install a wrestling threat in Lerone Murphy's mind. Lerone Murphy has like a sub 50% takedown defense. So does Josh Emmett, to be fair. But I think Josh Emmett has better defensive wrestling than Lerone Murphy, at least. And he's also got more of a stocky wrestler build. I think Lerone Murphy is going to end up getting himself chinned in this fight. Lerone Murphy, of course, is going to be more technical than Josh Emmett. We all know that going into that. That's all Lerone Murphy is technique. He loves when a fight's pretty. Now, we've seen Lerone Murphy in dogfights. He isn't too bad when he's the one advancing. In the Edson Barbosa fight, of course, he was the one advancing, so he was able to dog it out a little bit more. If Josh Emmett is the one walking him down, Dan Ige was walking him down, he didn't like it all that much. You know what I mean? And that fight was pretty close, actually. On damage it was. And he had to resort to wrestling in moments, especially at the end of the third round, I'm pretty sure, to end up winning that fight and clinching at least. Josh Emmett's not going to allow that to happen. He's not. He's very strong for featherweight, very powerful, probably the most power at featherweight outside of Ilia Topuria, obviously. And he did give a man a seizure. He made him seize in the octagon in Bryce Mitchell. He did. And he hurts almost everybody he fights except Ilia. Because Ilya's that, like, in that fight he was in the Matrix. And Lerone Murphy, to be fair, maybe he can make Josh Emmett look like a fool and make him swing and miss. But I'm telling you guys, if he tries to counter Josh Emmett's right hand with what I've seen him try to do a lot of times before, which is a right elbow, like a step-in elbow, he's gonna get himself fucking chinned. I can see it, I can imagine it. Josh Emmett with his fucking beard, and he's an orc, and he's just walking. He looks exactly like the shape he's in this photo. In this photo, I'm pretty sure was when he fought Dan Ige, if I'm being honest. Dude, he's gonna get himself chinned. And I've seen Dan Ige put him on skates. I've seen Edson Barbosa literally knock him out with an up kick. But it was the end of the round. And that was a very geriatric Edson Barbosa. And I think Edson's fought since then, you know what I mean? Like, Josh Emmett's 40. But, like, Lerone Murphy isn't no spry chicken. He's going to be 34 this year. He's the oldest prospect ever. He's the same age as Dan Ige. You know what I mean? And I've seen, like, he trains with Leon Edwards. And, I think Lerone is a bit more of a dog than Leon. I'll admit that. But I think that if Lerone Murphy, if the going gets tough and he's not the nail, if he's not the hammer, rather, if he's the nail when the going gets tough, we've seen it. He doesn't really like it. Gabriel Santos, for example, that was a very close fight. Joshua Culibao, in the grappling, it was actually pretty competitive, but on the feet, of course, Lerone hurt him to the body a couple times. I think Josh Emmett's going to knock out Lerone Murphy in the first round. I think he's going to brutally fucking shin him. If he doesn't, if Josh Emmett allows this fight to be pretty for as long as it lasts, Lerone Murphy will just out-talent him. Lerone Murphy is a pound-for-pound better striker than Josh Emmett. But when it gets to the power department, we've seen Lerone Murphy crack. Okay, we've seen him get cracked. We've seen him get folded sometimes. If Josh Emmett touches you, it's not going to be good. And he's a plus 200 underdog. You know what I mean? And Lerone Murphy allows dogfights. He will initiate grappling exchanges too. And I think Josh Emmett can just out-strength Lerone Murphy in those positions, maybe land some good clinch strikes. I think this could go very bad for Lerone Murphy. I hope it doesn't, because I like Lerone Murphy as a fighter. I like him as a person as well as personality. His story is very cool. But I think Josh Emmett is, like, very clearly on steroids as well. I think he chins Lerone Murphy in the first round. First 5 minutes, I think Josh Emmett will land his signature right bomb. I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Vegas 105, Emmett vs. Murphy on April 5th, 2025. My confident picks reside with Loma Lookboonmee, Kennedy Nzechukwu, and in the co-main event, Joe Anderson Brito. My pre-card rating is a 6 out of 10. It could be a 5, honestly. This card's pretty bad. There are some guys on here that I do like Kennedy Nzechukwu. I like the main event. Emmett vs. Murphy should be very fun. Joe Anderson Brito, Pat Sabatini can be very fun. There's some prelims that there's, like, finishing potential throughout the card as well. this is probably going to end up being a card that has a bunch of finishes for no reason, just because we all say it's garbage. So it'll be very entertaining to actually watch. But yeah, what are your guys' picks? If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. I give my picks and breakdown every time there is a fight week. And I'll see you guys after the fights. Peace.